context to the experiences that PDA people experience.
There is still a lot to learn about PDA. There is still a lot of unknowns. I am presenting what our current level of knowledge is.
No, you're not. No, you're not, Kathleen, because how many times I've gotten so many comments from people who also still identify with PDA that the side of the discussion that I am part of and that the resources that I am showing are knowledge that has not been shown on your platform. You have not shown the most recent and up-to-date knowledge because it doesn't it contrasts what you're saying. So therefore, in order for you to keep on going as a PDAer and with your whole specific side of PDA, I'm trying to also exclude other PDAers who identify with PDA because those PDAers are not agreeing with you. And you're also invalidating those PDAers' experience because they don't agree with your type of PDA.
And using my lived experience so that people can connect with some of those things if it's important to them. A lot of the assumptions that are coming up about PDA from people that are like trying to come from a research perspective, they're not really understanding the lived experience of PDAers, which I find a really valuable and central piece to this conversation.
That's so hypocritical too, because you're literally saying we need to listen to the lived experiences of PDAers, but we'll only listen to the lived experiences of PDAers who agree with me. I have so many of my friends who still identify with PDA, who are trying to process and understand themselves, and I am not in any way going to try to rip that label from them. But when they have questions of wanting to reassess this label of PDA, I'm all here for it to talk to them. But unlike you don't want to have any discussion that is going to be any kind of contrast or challenge to your definition of PDA.
They are trying to imply that it can be justified or explained by just the autism criteria. That's not true, actually. PDA traits are not explained by autistic criteria, nor do they fit other diagnoses. If you fit other diagnoses, you can feel free to grab another diagnosis. But for a lot of us, we don't fit into any of those categories. And these are answers that we've needed for a long time. They give us an important framework through which to understand our own threat response and through which to understand how to create a neuroaffirming life for ourselves.
Again, that's exactly what we're trying to do. By providing just, again, another side of the discussion, providing information that wasn't there before, that you haven't provided yourself, that you haven't updated for your own self and for your followers.
The diagnosis of ODD does not fit for all PDAers. The diagnosis of trauma does not fit for PDAers. And I think one of the important things we're missing is that they're trying to talk about PDA traits as if it's demand avoidance, extreme demand avoidance. But there's so much more that goes into the PDA identity for people that identify with PDA.
But what is it, Kathleen? Honestly, like I have literally asked so many of your followers and people who identify with your type of PDA what their explicit experiences are that make it different from other diagnoses and autism. And all the examples they give me are just autism as well as the examples you give. There's literally, there's no clear definition that that I myself can also explain that is an autistic trait. And I don't know how I don't know how you're not seeing that. And honestly, I think it's sad because I'm pretty sure your own child, as well as yourself, and maybe a lot of the other followers that you have, are just mid support needs to high support needs autistics. And because they don't have enough representation on this app, you're clinging to the PDA label because that is the only representation that you could see that really identifies with these things, even though it's actually camouflage and it's actually camouflaging these issues that are more mid support needs to high support needs autism.
And I want to be clear, I'm not an expert on everything. I'm not here trying to act like I know everything or like I'm perfect. Actually, my whole account is about me struggling. And so I really don't feel like I've been misleading in any way in that regard. Everybody that has been following me for a while knows that I just came out of burnout, that I am kind of starting at a factory reset, having to kind of start over figuring out some of these things. And what I'm trying to guide people on is just understanding their brains if they have this type of neurotype.
If you're not trying to act like you're a know-it-all or the expert of this, then why do you keep defending yourself as if you are, or like you keep discounting the literal evidence and research that I'm pretty sure you haven't even read.
Because that's what a good therapist does. A good therapist just helps people to understand themselves, and that's all I'm here trying to do.
Like, you keep discounting the literal evidence and research that I'm pretty sure you haven't even read. Oh my god. I can't believe you even are drawing this connection to yourself and calling yourself a good therapist when a good therapist wouldn't even say they're a good therapist in this way.
And part of why I'm so good at that is because I understand the human experience. I understand how traumatizing very small things can be. I understand the threat response. I understand social difficulties and missteps and shame spirals and feeling like you don't know what to do next. And I love helping other people figure that out because I've been there and am still there frequently.
Listen, Kathleen, I've literally experienced all those things. I also used to identify with the PDA label. If this label was actually alive and well and was something that was in the past as a child, I would have absolutely been a PDA child. But now I just know it's my autism. So if a good therapist is somebody who will be extremely dysregulated, lash out onto you when they are dysregulated, not take an actual break when they say they're going to take a break from their whole, time online or even their whole job because of their whole dysregulation, and come back not only doubling down, but tripling down and trying to defend their expertise, even though they say they're not an expert, and then also invalidate so many other people who are in the gray area as PDAers and lived experiences. You have a very, very skewed version and view of what a good therapist is. Because quite honestly, if you were my therapist, I would have dropped you right away.